Good morning, friends. Welcome to this session on calculation of scientific indicators using MS Excel. See, MS Excel is such a powerful package that any kind of calculations, statistical tests can be conducted here. Only thing is you need to sit and explore the capabilities of MS Excel. Here, what I have been trying to do is that I have taken some very popular, mostly used scientific indicators, which I found in various journal articles and theses. I try to give a formula for all these scientific indicators so that when we share this Excel sheet with you, if you're just having the relevant data, you can just fit into these formulae and you can get the immediate answers to all those indicators. So these presentation will help you to prepare minimum 25 tables for your research paper or your thesis work or your MPhil work or your PG project work. And these indicators, I think around 25 are there. They revolve around either authors, they talk about authors, their contribution locally, their contribution in international way, their contribution different levels. They talk about countries, how the countries are collaborating with each other, their relative world output, how far they are performing in a particular field in comparing with the world output, the same field, and all those things. Then we talk about production count, we take how many papers are published. Based on that, we have a lot of indicators. We have citation counts. Based on citations, we got a good number of scientific indicators. Then based on yearly output, we calculate many scientific indicators. So based on these fields, we have around 25 scientific indicators. Let's see how these things are calculated. In fact, I'm not going to talk much on theoretical aspects of these scientific indicators. And these indicators are devised by scientometricians or bibliometricians over a period of time. See, when one scientometric indicator is found and published, people start thinking about it, researching about it, and they make a small change here and there, and they bring out a new indicator. So this is how many of the scientometric indicators, sometimes they look similar. They are the same pattern. Only thing is some one or two modifications here and there. So there's a field, an evolving field where you get a lot of new scientific indicators. But we would like to confine this presentation only to the 25 scientific indicators. Apart from this, there are many more in the field which you can explore by yourself. So let's start from the first one. A relative growth rate RGR and doubling time is a very popular scientific indicator which you found in almost all the research works. And here it says the yearly publication. I got data for 20 years or something like that. This is the cumulative publications. So 1990 to 55, 1993, 53. So cumulative says that at the end of the first year I have 55. At the end of second year I have 108. How? 55 plus 53, 108 I have. So yearly number of records I got. This you get either from WebExcel or straight away from Web of Science database or PubMed database, Scopus database, no problem. And here, how to calculate relative growth rate? You need to find out two things. One is log value of initial output, the log value of the final output of each and every year. The first step. How to calculate log value? For example, in the beginning of 1992, we didn't have even a single record, so log value is 0. At the end of 1992, we have 55 records. So I calculate logarithm value. How to calculate? Equal symbol, in MS Excel, whenever you want to calculate something, you have to put equal symbol and then you give your calculations 2 by 2, 2 into 3, 10 by 100, whatever you want to give, it will calculate and give you. Okay. If you don't precede it with the equal sign, then this will not be calculated. This will be taken just like a data. Fine. So is equal to ln stands for is a function for getting logarithmic value. E16. What is E16? E16 is the number of records at the end of 1992. Fine. Check. Let me go to 1993. 1993, how many records are there in the beginning? It's nothing but 1993 we had 55 records. Am I clear? See, 1992, in the beginning we did not have any record. At the end of 1992, we had 55 records. Then how many records we have in the beginning of 1993? The same 55. At the end of 1993, we have got 53 records produced in 93. So this 55 plus 53, 108 at the end of 1993. Total output at the end of 1993 is equal to what was published before plus what was published in 1993. Fine. So for the initial value, I did the same thing. The same whatever I got it for D16, the same thing is for here also. And log 2 stands for E17. E17 is, this is E and this is 17. E17 for 108. Fine. So log value. So this way, see, the log value of last year's final output will be the log value of current year's initial value. Fine. And this I calculate for every year's output for 108, for 203, for 300. So this way, you calculate log value for the initial period and the cumulative end output. Now this is over. Now, what is the step to calculate relative growth rate? It's very simple. G17, that means final log value minus initial log value. So that tells you what is the relative growth rate of all years applications. See, normally what I have seen is that the relative growth rate shows a kind of decreasing, a declining trend throughout the period. You can see here, it starts from 0.67, it has gone down to 0.006. Right. And what about doubling time? So doubling time tells you in how many years a particular output in a particular discipline gets doubled. How many years it takes for a particular research output to double in its count. How to calculate is very simple. So doubling time is equal to 0.063 divided by relative growth rate. It's very simple. See? I have given is equal to 0.69 divided by H17. H17 is the relative growth rate. So this tells you the doubling time for every year. And you can see doubling time, it grows. There is a inverse relationship between relative growth rate and doubling time. It means that when number of applications are increasing, when doubling time shows an increasing trend, it means that it takes more years for the literature to get doubled. Fine. So this is how we can calculate relative growth rate and doubling time. And how to calculate mean relative growth rate is very simple. You total all the, for example, you want to calculate mean RGR first 7 years. So you total all the RGR divided by 7. Very simple. H17 to H20 divided by 7. That tell you mean relative growth rate and mean doubling time. Same way. And this is a formula to calculate mean relative growth rate and mean doubling time. This is the first indicator. Let me move on to second one. Annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate. Here also we are going to see two scientific indicators. One is annual ratio of growth. It says the formula is last year output divided by current year output. Very simple. For example, let me take 1993 and see how to calculate annual ratio of growth. So see here, E18, what is E18? This is last year's output divided by E17, that is current year output. So last year output divided by current year output. Okay, annual ratio of growth. Okay, it says that the annual ratio of growth is 0.96. It means that if you are taking this 50 by as 100, what about 53? It's only 96%. So last year you had 55 articles, that was equal to 100%. This year you are able to get only 53 articles, so the annual ratio of growth is only 0.96. That is 1:0.96. That is the annual ratio of growth between last year and the current year. Fine, good. Now, what is annual growth rate? It says last year output minus current year output divided by last year output. So you can see here E18 is the, what is E18? This is E, this is 8, this is E18 is the current year output. But formula says that last year output minus current year output, isn't it? So when you say last year output is E17. So let me just change the formula. I think E17 minus E18 divided by E17. Okay. And here also, this is last year output slash current year output. So last year output is E17, isn't it? I think I have made a small change here. Let me change it here. Okay. So last year output divided by current year output. So annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate. Again, I have changed it. Last year output minus current year output divided by last year output. It says 0.04 annual growth rate. So using this formula, you can calculate annual ratio of growth and annual growth rate. Fine. Let us go to the third one. This is co-authorship index, and it says that number of single author papers in a year divided by total number of single author papers in the study period. You take these two concepts, you calculate the answer, divided by total papers in that year divided by total papers of the study period into 100. Right. See, co-authorship index can be calculated for single authors, can be calculated for two authors, can be calculated for three authors. Okay, this way you can call it for all kinds of authorship pattern. You can calculate individually. Fine. For example, let me take this singular publications, and the formula says that number of singular papers in a year. So in 1992, how many papers are there? D11, that is 19 papers are there, divided by total number of singular papers in the study period. So during the whole study period, how many singular publications are there? 365 are there. So D11 divided by 365, you get some answer. Divided by total papers in that period. In that period means 1992. How many total? It comes to 55. That is J11 is the total number of papers published in 1992 divided by total papers of the study period. What is the total number of papers published during study period? 7191. Okay, into 100. This tells you what is the co-authorship index for single authored publications in 1992. Fine. How much? It's 680. The same way you can calculate it for all the years. Then you can go and calculate the co-authorship index for two authors. Here, instead of taking single authors, we take two authors. Number of joint author papers in a year divided by total number of joint author papers study period, and rest is C. So this way you can calculate co-authorship index for all kinds of different kinds of authors. Fine. If CAI is equal to 100, it means that the number of publications corresponds to the average within a co-authorship pattern. That means if you take a particular authorship pattern and if you analyze the papers published in that particular authorship pattern, if CAA is equal to 100, it means that the answer what you get is equal to the average within that co-authorship pattern. If it is more than 100, it means that the number of publications are higher than the average. If CA is less than 100, it means that the number of publications are lower than the average. Fine. So this we can calculate co-authorship index for different kinds of authorship pattern. Then comes degree of collaboration and rate of single authorship. See, degree of collaboration is equal to multiple authored publications divided by total publications. Right. So if we take how many papers are published in 1992 divided by how many multiple papers are published in that particular year. For example, I'll take 1992. Totally 55 papers are published, of which 19 are single author papers and 36 are multi-authors papers. This multiple authorship may be either two authors or three authors or four authors or more than four authors. It is immaterial. We just take into account how many papers were authored by multiple authors. Now let me calculate degree of collaboration. The formula is given by C. Subramaniam. It says that multiple author publication, that is G13. What is G13? Multiple author publication 36 divided by total publications. What is total publications? It is E13, that is 55. 36 divided by 55. So degree of collaboration is 0.65. It means that 65% of total publications of 1992 were born out of collaborative research work. So out of 100, 65% is from collaborative research work. Fine. So this way you can calculate for all the years individually. And apart from that, you can calculate overall degree of collaboration for the entire research period. So I have taken the research data from 1992 to 2019, and the total publications are 7191, and total multiple publications are 6733, and so the degree of collaboration is 0.94. It's very high, very high. To contrast to this, we can calculate RSA, rate of single authorship. In fact, myself and my guide, we have formulated this particular scientific indicator. We have invented this. In fact, what the formula we have given is that single author publications divided total publications. Okay. For example, in 1992, total publications are 55 and single author publications are 19. So 0.35 is the rate of single authorship. That means out of 100 papers published in 1992, 35% of the papers are born out of single author contribution. If you total degree of collaboration and rate of single authorship, that will be equal to 100. Fine. So this we can do it for all the years, and even you can calculate the mean rate of single authorship for the entire period also. Fine. This is how we can calculate degree of collaboration and rate of single authorship. Let me go to next one called activity index. So it tells you what is the relative research effort of a particular country in a given field. Okay. So what is the relative? When you are comparing your output with the world output, what is your contribution? So that's how it is given by activity index. The formula says that, for example, if you take a country like USA, the activity index says that output of USA in 1992 divided by total output of all the countries in 1992 divided by total output of USA divided by total output of the world. So using this formula, you can calculate the activity index. Here I have given the individual country contributions of 5 or 6 countries from 2001 to 2005. There is the total contributions of each country. India has got 600, US has got 5 to 9, something like that. And here I'll tell you how you can calculate the activity index for each and every country for each and every year. If you take India, the output slowly goes up. It started from 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. It goes. So relatively, the contribution of India in this particular field towards the world research output is increasing. Let's see the activity index. See, what is the formula? D1. What is D16? India's output in 2001 divided by 600. What is 600? Total output of India for all the 5 years. So 100 divided by 600. This first part. But second part, 2790. That is total research output of all the countries in 2001 divided by 13370. That is total output of all the countries in all the years 13370. So what is our activity index? 79 in 2001. It slowly goes up, 87, 95, 103, 111. So our contribution in this field towards world research output keeps on increasing. If you take USA also same trend. But if you take UK and Canada, just for example, I have shown a declining trend. See 900, 800, 700, 600, 500. You can see the activity index 123, 109, 95, 82, 68. So this is how you can find out the relative contribution of a country in a particular field towards the world research output. So activity index will help you. Then comes collaborative coefficient, one which was invented first by Ajay Ferruke long back. And this is based on the fractional weightage given to different kinds of authorship pattern. That means, see, sometimes we cannot give equal weightage to all the authors. See, how can you give 1 mark to an author for a paper which is written by himself, a single author? For example, I have written 2 papers. The first paper, I am the only one single author. The second paper, we 4 people together contributed the paper. In that case, Is it possible that I can give one full mark to both first paper and second paper to me? So that is not correct. That is what the view of this particular author, wherein they wanted to give fractional weightage to different kinds of authorship pattern. So based on the fractional weightage, they want to calculate the collaborative coefficient. To what extent in this particular field, the co-authorship, collaborative research is vibrant. See, if CC is higher and higher, it means that there is higher probability of multi or mega author papers. If CC is less, means there is a less probability of having multi or mega author papers. Fine. And let me show you how you can calculate. It is a single formula. It says that, see, let us not confuse with this mathematical formula and all. I just rewrote the entire formula in a simple manner. You can see here, the formula goes this way. 1 minus, please understand, 1 minus 1 into D22. What is one? Single number of authors, 1. For author 1, that means if the papers are contributed by single authors, we give full weightage to them. So 1 into D22 means number of papers, 102. Okay, and plus 1 by 2 into D23. What is 1 by 2 here? There are 2 authors. 2 authors are there. We have to split the credit and we are going to both authors. So 1 by 2 everybody. Okay. So 1 by 2 into D23. D23 means 48. Then there are 3 authors. Then you get 1 by 3. 4 authors. You have divided into 4. So 1 by 4. 5 authors. You have to give credit to all the 5 others equally. So 1 by 5 into 1. So this way, you give fractional weightage to different authorship pattern divided by total publications 1083. So this is what 2000 here. You can see what is the collaborative coefficient. It is 0.03. That means the contribution of mega author papers are very, very, very meager. You can see here, no? Because singular papers are more in numbers and collaborative papers are very less in numbers. Quite contrast to this. You please come to year 2010 and you see singular papers are only 190, but remaining all are joint or multi-author papers. Here, if I use this formula, the answer is 0.56. That means there is a higher CC, it means a higher probability of mega or multi-author papers. So even CC can be calculated. Fine. Then comes MCC, modified collaborative coefficient. There are some problems with CC or DC, something like that. So to overcome the problems, they keep on modifying or advancing the formula. You can ask the question, sir, what is the problem with the previous indicators? Why they have found out modified collaborative coefficient? So there is a theory behind it. I think I will not take much time. I'll just tell you. See, for example, if you take, I'll tell you what is this collaborative index. I'll calculate later. So if you take collaborative index, okay, it is very easy to calculate. It tells you the mean number of authors, but it's given here. It is not easily interpretable as a degree because it's not having any upper limits. And apart from that, it gives a non-zero weight to single author papers. It doesn't give any weight to single author papers. To overcome this problem, they calculate DC. Why? DC gives zero weight to single author papers. While calculating DC, we are not going to take into account the contribution of single authors because we bother only about the collaborative index. Why should we bother about the papers contributed by single authors? So that is the problem with the CI. So to overcome this shortcomings, in DC, I take only multi-author papers. Fine. So the problem of CI is rectifying DC. But in DC, what is the problem? DC gives equal weightage to all the multi-author papers. If a paper is written by 2 authors, or 3 authors, or 4 authors, and 5 authors, we give equal weightage to all the authors, 1, 1, 1. So that is the limitation of DC. To solve that limitation, in CC, what we have discussed just before, it gives fractional counting. I told you, no, if there is only one author, full weightage, 1 mark to him. There are 2 authors, 1 by 2 to each. So that kind of fractional weightage is given in CC. Okay. But there is a problem in CC. What is the problem in CC? Because CC fails to yield 1 for maximal collaboration. That means if all the papers are joint papers, not even a single paper is contributed by single authors, then the answer should be 1. Maximal collaboration should be 1. But CC doesn't give 1 as a maximal collaboration. So to rectify this small issue, they came out with another idea called modified collaborative coefficient. Fine. So what's the formula? The same formula what you used for collaborative coefficient. Only one thing is added in the beginning. That is total publications divided by total publications minus 1. You calculate this, and whatever you get, multiply this with the collaborative coefficient, what you found out previously, you will get the answer. The same formula, 1 minus 1 into single author, 1 by 2 into 2 authors, 1 by 3 into 3 authors, 1 by 3, 1 by 4 into 4 authors, 1 by 5 into 5 authors, divided by total publications. So this is the formula we used for collaborative coefficient. And this is to be multiplied by this answer. What is the first part of this formula? Total publications divided by total publication minus 1. If you multiply 1.009 into the collaborative coefficient, you will get the modified collaborative coefficient. So for 2000, this is the answer. For 2000, I think this is, I'll change it, I'm sorry. For 2010, for 2010, the modified collaborative coefficient is 1.77. It's very high contribution of collaborative authors. Fine. Then comes compound annual growth rate. It's a very, very popular scientific indicator. So when you have publications over a period of time, you can find out what is the, instead of, of course, you're going to calculate what is the annual growth rate. Apart from that, you can find out what is the compound annual growth rate. You can find out compound. What is the formula? Final year publications divided by first year publications, you get some answer. Multiply it with 1 by 1 minus 1, then minus 1. Fine. So what is the formula here? For example, final year publications, you can see here what is the final publication? It's 442. Fine. Divided by first year publications, how much? 55. 55 multiplied by 1. Then n minus, what is 1? N means number of years of publication. So I have taken 28 years of research output for my study. So 28 minus 1, close the bracket, then minus. So what's the answer? Minus 7.74. So that is the compound annual growth rate. It means the research output in this particular discipline shows a kind of a declining compound annual growth rate because the answer is in minus. So using this simple formula, you can calculate the compound annual growth rate. Then comes dominance factor. It's very interesting concept. For example, I have contributed 40 papers in collaborative mode. It means I joined with other authors and I contributed around 1 minute, please. Okay. See, as an author, I contributed 40 papers in collaborative mode, but all the 40 papers, my name is not in the first author. My name is in the second name, third name, fourth name, fifth name. If it is so, what is my dominance? To what extent I dominate in this particular research field? Though there are a lot of collaborative papers, in how many papers my name is appearing as the first author? So that is how the calculation of dominance factor. Okay, it tells you NMF, that is number of joint authored papers of an author as a first author. See, for example, totally I published 50 papers, of which 40 are joint paper authors. So I joined with others, and in collaborative mode I published 40 papers. Out of these 40 papers, my name appears as the first author in 15 papers. Okay, so what is my dominant factor? F13, that is as first author, how many joint papers divided by total joint papers. So my dominant is only 0.38. But if you take second author, he had 60 joint papers in which he appears as the first author in 46 papers. So his dominance factor is 0.77. Fine. So this we can calculate dominance factor. Then let me go to collaboration index. Two formulae are there. Let me show you both. The one is, it says that number of authors of total joint publications divided by total joint publications. Fine. So it's nothing but the mean number of authors, average number of authors per joint author publications. You take all the joint author publications and divide by total authors, and you get the collaboration index. For example, E12, what is E12? E12 is the total authors of total joint author publications. Okay. For example, if there are 80 joint author publications, these 80 papers were contributed by 489 authors divided by D12. What is D12? Number of joint author publications. So what is the collaboration index? 6.11. But I was able to see another formula for collaboration index is given by Lavani. He says, here we have taken authors of total joint publications. But he says, don't worry about the total joint publications. You take total authors. Total authors divided by total joint papers. Okay. For example, let us see this case. G29. What is a G29? G29 is a total authors. For example, in 2000, 100 papers are published. You see both single authors, two authors, three authors. We take all the things. Totally, we had 509 authors, total authors, divided by D29. That is how many joint author publications are there. That is 80. The answer is 6.36. Okay. Though there is no much difference between this formula and this formula, but there is a slight variation which is thought out by Lavani. You can use any one you feel like. I would see both in the literature. This is about collaboration index. Let me go to the very, very simple one called AAPP, average authors per paper, number of authors divided by number of papers, and productivity per author, number of papers by number of authors. So it shows you, for example, D13 tells you number of authors divided by number of papers. And it tells you C13, number of articles divided by number of authors. So it tells you to find out how on an average, we have 2.5 authors per paper. Here, on an average, we have a 0.40 papers per author. So these two is very simple to calculate. Average authors per paper and productivity per author. Then comes domestic collaborative index. Fine. I think I have a few more. Okay. So I think I'll end my presentation here, and let me come back to you with the second part of this presentation, where I will demonstrate you on the calculation of the remaining cyanometric indicators using MS Excel. Children boy.